Blessed to be a part of your day. Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio. Phone number is 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Back to the phones. Let's go to Jeff in Nampa. Jeff, good morning. You're on KIDO Talk Radio.
Hello, Kevin. Nice to be on the air. I think that the remarks, "be kind," is strictly pandering to the tourists, so to say, that are coming in here for Treefort. I think it's a little bit outrageous. And as a politician, a man who was elected by the people and had to exchange free ideas, he should know that being kind is not always an option in a world where we are allowed to say whatever we want, granted by the Constitution. I think it's outrageous to be talked down to like a third grade teacher to a bunch of grown adults. Be kind. And just one final thought before I get off the phone. Please contact your representatives and say no to hemp. Okay, that's all, Kevin.
Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate you. Phone number is 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Coming up, again, we'll go back to Mayor Beater and the Be Kind initiative. A fascinating topic because it's, why do politicians do this? Number one. Number two, do we really care which basketball team they're rooting for? Oh, that's nice. Let's go to John in Middleton with Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, John.
Hey, good morning, Kevin. This might be a little off topic, and you might have already touched on it. I'm not sure. I'm just tuning in. But there was some good news for Idaho. A Zero Head article yesterday. It was also posted to Drudge, how there are sanctuary gun cities and even gun states now. And Idaho is only one of 3 states deemed to be a sanctuary gun state, which I just loved seeing that. So that was done under Butch Otter. So thanks to him, and hopefully we can continue to strengthen our gun rights here in Idaho and reinforce them where they need to be, such as the Castle Doctrine, which is pretty poor right now. I don't know what your thoughts are on that, but just want to kind of share the good news and just encourage everyone to keep supporting initiatives that reinforce our Second Amendment.
Well, John, before we let you go, we had Greg Pruitt on earlier, and I know you just came with us talking about this. But, I would hope that our politicians, the Republicans, would really reflect the views of the people that elected them, and that is to be pro-Second Amendment. The fact that we have to, have these committee hearings and everything else, and, we're not going to make it happen. If you've been around, you understand the frustration that we've had with these breakthroughs. That's why we have the Idaho Second Amendment Alliance, which is a local group very different from the NRA. In my point of view, why in the world would we not have Idaho as you said, a giant sanctuary state? And, something, people should be free to do this across the country. We can't control what they do in Illinois, but we can control what they do in Idaho.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's a shame that it's coming to this, but I think, we all see, we're just kind of documenting the rotting of the corpse here in America. And, everyone just kind of, every state's got to do what they got to do right now. I feel like, it's at least reinforcing knowing that we're not just laying over and giving up everything. We're fighting. And, I know there's a lot of firearm supporters here, which I love. And hopefully, we're just one of those states that's just there till the end, the strongest, the reddest of the red. Just kind of broad stroke comments there. But, yeah, I don't know.
Well, the only thing I have to say to you, John, is be kind.
Try to be, always.
Of course. Anyway, John, have a great day.
You too, Kev. Thanks for the time.
Thank you. And bye-bye. Thank you, John. May God bless. Phone number's here, 580-5436, 580-KIDO. And by the way, would Mayor Beater say that to Representative Omar? To be kind? How about to Nancy Pelosi, to be kind? Hey, how about this? How about Democrats be kind? I like that idea. How about Chuck Schumer be kind? Now, the National Democrats, are they kind? That's what I'd like to know. If you're just tuning in, Treefort Music Festival in Boise. You've got 2 politicians going back and forth on this. By the way, the Be Kind initiative has been rolling for quite some time. We have Governor Little, I guess, trying to get Twitter followers and the millennials that are part of his administration. And I really don't have to really worry about what we say because the millennials, probably don't listen to this show. It's so funny when people say, hey, how's your show going? Well, why don't you listen? Find out what's going on. So I go back to at 580-5436. You have Governor Little posing with his staffers saying, hey, I picked Gonzaga to win the national title. I remember when, and by the way, I hope Shelley's still listening. I remember when President Obama would do this. And if you've been with us for a while, and if you haven't, I would go crazy every time President Obama would fill out a bracket on ESPN. I thought it was horrible, especially when we had the economy and everything else. Politicians should do what we elected them to do and politic. On the other hand, at 580-5436, for me personally, and back to Shelley, who I have a lot of respect for, and Chuck and Meridian, and John and others, I really don't need a politician telling me how to behave. And I think that in light of the current political climate, maybe Mayor Beater should send that Be Kind t-shirt to Nancy Pelosi or to Representative Omar or Representative to Tlaib. Dab. Holly in Caldwell, good morning. You're on KIDO Talk Radio with Kevin Miller. Hello, Holly.
Good morning. So I have a real issue, as you know, because I'm all about individual liberty, and surely we don't need to go down to managing people's manners. But I kind of want to expand it a little. One of my concerns on the monologue when you said that lawmakers should support the police, which are hired by the government to enforce the laws that the people are supposed to make. And yes, we support the law enforcement, but we don't worship the law enforcement. And honestly, we are a republic, so that means groups don't get to contribute to what the laws are. And so, we saw in the presidential race where not the highest law enforcement agency in the country, because the sheriff actually has more authority by the Constitution than the FBI, but they tried to influence the presidential election. So I think in the times that we're moving into, we need to be careful with how much we think the cops need to contribute to the laws that we make. The citizens need to make the laws. They need to be involved in that. But they sure are not the authority on what laws that we make. They actually are to serve and protect the people and make sure they defend their life, their liberty, and their property.
Holly?
Yes?
Be kind.
I am being kind, but I'm also being very logical.
I'm with you on that, but what do you make of this where he I want to save the value, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, I think that's the difference between how Democrats look at things and how the other people look at things, the real people, because do we really need an elected official, the mayor of the city, telling us to be kind with T-shirts and such? Okay, that's great,
no,
Pavlum. That's great.
No.
You're a mom. You're an adult. You're a professional. I'm just going, can we stop the pandering to increase our positive results with the voters,
The one that's more disturbing to me, I've seen it even sometimes in 4-H clubs, is the ones about the climate change religion and things like that. I agree. I think that, for one thing, everybody can interpret what being kind is. Some people that have mental illnesses or whatever think they're doing it because of somebody's best interest. I mean, honestly, I think we need to have a bill that says there's no more laws unless it goes through a panel to say that it's constitutional and it actually protects the rights of the people and not a special interest group. Same kind of thing. But yeah, I agree. The whole be kind thing. And I mean, honestly, do people really need to be reminded of that? I mean, probably so, but not by their special interest, but not by their elected official,
Exactly.
So,
Holly, thank you for the call.
have a great day.
You too. 580-5436. 580-KIDO. Big news going on in the legislature. Oh, there we go.
Medicaid expansion, like work requirements. It passes to the Senate with a 45-25 vote, even though not all representatives support it.
Oh, I think House Bill 277 is a total disaster, actually.
On the other side, you have a Senate bill which aims to put fewer restrictions on Medicaid and does away with work requirements. It passes out of committee with a 5-4 vote. Even though some senators have reservations about it, there's one goal in mind.
My intent of this is to change the discussion from us against them to we.
But with two opposing bills now going to the Senate floor, what's next for Medicaid?
That's a really great question.
I wish I knew exactly what it meant.
They can't both become law, so both senators and representatives agree the key word is going to be compromise.
We're going to have the two choices to look at. And we have to look at, number one, what do we like the best out of the two bills? Or some won't like either bill. Number two, what do we think we need to pass in order to get the funding that we need for Medicaid?
Yeah, and let me interrupt the report from Channel 7 on KIDO Talk Radio, 107.5 FM, 580 AM. Look, these guys and gals have had time to do this. The Democrats are very astute at stirring things up, and it comes down to this. Work requirements, no work requirements. If you, let's say you're a Republican, why is there even a debate? The Democratic Party, at least currently in this state, non-existent. Sure, they have an outstanding press operation, very superior to the Republicans when it comes to getting their messages out. I get their releases 3 or 4 times a day. But really, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. If the Republicans in the state, the elected ones, acted like Republicans, this session would have been over in 20 days. We could go to having a session every 2 years. And here's another one. Let's punt. But you know how it is. We always seem to wait for the usual suspects to make the usual deals that outrage everybody. And by the time the legislature comes around or they're running for election or re-election, we forget about them. Well, we're not going to forget about the lack of attention, the lack of consideration about repealing the grocery tax. And we had a couple people here. We had the lieutenant governor on this program saying she believes it'll happen this session. Mike Moyle, Matt Erpelding, Tommy Ahlquist, myself, in his Inspired Excellence podcast, they told me it wasn't going to happen this session. Looks like they were right. Now, Medicaid expansion. Why wasn't this week 1? And I know, changing the state license plates and this, that, that's important stuff. Again, sarcasm alert. But why are we waiting till the last day? Because we're going to get hosed. And if you can't have a cap on Medicaid expansion, who's to say it doesn't go from 60,000 people covered, which is what they talked about during the election, to 90,000, to 100,000, to 200,000 people being covered? Look, medical is where the rubber hits the road. We want everybody covered. However, that isn't possible without bankrupting the state. The state has a right. The state's stakeholders, the state lawmakers have a duty to protect us from our own irrational spending. $400 million sounds good to me as a cap on Medicaid expansion. Because it's just like when we take a look at immigration reform. Now we have people running to the border. They want to get in while they can. Who has the guts? Who has the leadership in our political system to make the tough call?
So that it passes both houses and makes it down to the governor's office.
The Senate could pass the House bill as is. It could reject it. It could slightly modify it, or it could completely gut the bill's language, reword it, and then pass it on, potentially with the same bill number. Or
at some point, the chair on either side could just decide they don't want to hear the other side's bill. So the chairman has absolute power to just put a bill in his drawer and it never moves forward. So the House chair could do that to the Senate bill, or the Senate chair could do that to the House bill. Likely what will happen is there will be some kind of backroom meeting with leadership of both sides where they decide how they want to.
Why do we need a backroom meeting? Let's have a public hearing where everybody can watch.
It. And I certainly hope that they include a lot of parties in that, because this is a very big deal.
I think you're going to see the legislature settle in on one of the two bills, or maybe even some slight modifications to one of those two bills.
There we have it from our friends at Channel 7 at 580-5436. 580-KIDO. That is the billion-dollar boondoggle, if you will. And it hits close to home. It's very easy for some people to say, look, man, don't pay for it. Make them work. That's one side of it. The other side saying, look, it was passed, and this is how it's supposed to be. However, there have to be restrictions on this. Don't there? 580-5436, 580-KIDO. You're listening to Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. Rolling on the right side, Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio. Thank you, Ray Amaya. If you missed our conversation earlier, Mayor Beater announcing his kindness initiative. Of course, He's been announcing this kindness initiative for quite some time, urging people to be kind. Now, again, your opinion welcome at 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Do you find liberals kind? Do you find Democrats kind? Do you find the press kind, particularly how they treat the president? Do you find Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez kind? Representative Tlaib kind? I don't. And to me, I think the public airwaves would be much better served without the politicians trying to pump up their positives. In fairness, we called out the governor. Not really to the same extreme. Putting on Twitter his brackets, picking Gonzaga because his staff's there. To me, if you're a member of his staff that went to that great college, good for you. If you're not, you're thinking, I don't care. Right? Let's just focus on policy. It's like, what was that saying? Just do your job. Traffic and weather together. Our time is 8:26. KIDO Talk Radio.
I'm just Channel 7's Eric Everett.
Let's go back to the phones and pro-life. Pro-life, be kind.
Hey there.
Pro-life.
Yeah, I had to run over here from the sink.
You're running from the sink.
Well, anyway, on this be kind stuff, our culture is that right now that when you're kind, you're encouraging people to be sinful. And the truth about kindness is when you're really kind, you confront people, you cry repentance, you tell them this is what God's law is, this is what natural law is, this is how, the true standard is. And if you don't live up to that, then you're going to hurt yourself. It's never it's never right to somebody to let them be sinful. And so that's exactly what's happening. I mean, the Democrats are the most unkind people because they're letting people live in total corruption and sin. Socialism is collective theft.
I remember when you waved somebody at one of our recent rallies, they flipped you off. Maybe Mayor Beater should send them a Be Kind sticker. Why are the Democrats always the mean ones?
Well, they're totally mean because they're not confronting anybody about corruption and sin. I mean, they're so sinful themselves that they don't even know any. They want you to say you're okay for being a collective theft through socialism, through being promoting baby murder, through abortion, and promoting sexual corruption, perversion. I mean, they're just so messed up that it isn't even funny. So to be kind to them, you have to say, listen, you have to look at reality and repent of that. You have to give up all those things and go straight. That's where we need to be, and so I'm trying to be kind and say these things in love. I love those people. That's why I go to the gay rally,
You love the gays.
I love the gays enough to be there and tell them that they are wrong.
And how do they react to you when that happens?
One girl came off of a float and gave me a hug. No, they weren't really mean to me. They know that they're wrong, and they just need us to tell them, listen, you can't be doing this. And if we continue this so-called phony kindness, we'll destroy our whole civilization.
That doesn't sound very kind.
It's very kind.
No, really. It doesn't sound very kind.
Well, we're not being, I don't know. It's such a perversion to use the word kindness to let people be sinful.
See, that's why what we do here every day on KIDO Talk Radio is so important, because all you ever hear about is, oh, he's a good Mayor Beater. He's everybody be kind. Come on.
No, Mayor Beater's a political prostitute. And
that's not, in all due respect, that's not very kind. And look, you're better than that. He's an opportunist politician. Let's stay classy, pro-life.
Okay. He's sinful.
Well, we're all sinful. We can disagree with him in a respectful way. Let's not be hypocrites.
All right. Well, we love your program. It's the best on the radio. KIDO.
And we love you and Sperm Meets Egg.
Yes, and when Sperm Meets Egg, there's a new person on the earth totally. Their whole personality, everything, they're just real tiny, and they grow up to be a real person. You can't kill them from the time that sperm meets egg.
God bless pro-life.
Okay.
Sheila in Boise with Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Sheila.
Hello, good morning, Kevin. I just had to call in. I listen to you all the time.
It's my girl. It's been a while. How are you?
It's been a while. I'm doing fantastic, but I saw a spot with Mayor Beach. I'm afraid. I just want to say a few things because I know you're coming up close on the news. He should just run for Portland or Seattle, perhaps, because he'd fit in very well there. Maybe he could put porta potties on the streets, where they could poop. And I just think I wonder if he'd be running up and down the airport if President Trump came to visit, the way he almost tinkled his panties. He was so excited to see Obama that time when he came to Boise. So time for a new mayor in my book, and that's all I have to say.
Boy, we sure miss you. Thank you for continuing to listen.
Oh, I listen. Are you kidding me? I listen to all your reruns too, Kevin. I listen to you on Saturday. I listen to you from 5 in the morning till 9 every day.
God bless you,
and
Sheila.
By the way, as far as being kind, you know what? I think, how about being kind to, Speaker Ryan and his family when they went out to eat? I mean, it's ridiculous how mean-spirited the Democrats are. And we've lost close friends because we don't agree with their views on politics, and it's dreadful. And talk about be kind. Let them be kind because they're not kind to the Republicans in my book.
Thank you, Sheila.
Love you. Bye.
Love you. All right. More coming up next. Be kind, everybody. KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Maggie.
Good morning, Kevin.
Don't let anyone stop you from doing what you know is right, from asking questions, from challenging the powerful, or from speaking your mind.
The president talking about free speech on college campuses with analysis exclusively from the White House via Fox News Radio. John Decker on KIDO Talk Radio. John, good morning.
Good morning to you, Kevin. Hope you're doing well today.
Still employed, brother.
Okay, good deal. Excellent. That's a good, important thing, right?
It is now more than ever. So the president signing an executive order for free speech on college campuses. I thought there was free speech on college campuses.
Well, that's right. I mean, it's certainly a part of the Constitution, but at the same time, the way that part of the Constitution is carried out oftentimes suppresses certain voices on campus. Conservatives say that their voices are suppressed on college campuses, and that's what compelled the president to sign this executive order yesterday. The order would direct 12 federal agencies that give money to colleges by grants to building conditions that direct these universities to uphold free speech on their campuses. And there's a threat. The threat is withholding billions of dollars in federal research funding if those colleges and universities don't ensure that free speech on their college campuses is upheld.
Indeed, of course, the president not holding back, and reminds me of former Attorney General Jeff Sessions. Maybe it was a year ago, maybe it was more recent, actually calling out universities for censoring conservatives.
Well, that's right. This has been a big part of what the former Attorney General Jeff Sessions pursued when he was Attorney General, and it's an issue that I think there was a lot of pressure on President Trump to take the action that he took yesterday. Keep in mind that this executive order doesn't have a lot of teeth to it. It's very vague in the way that it's written, and it's not clear the mechanisms that the federal government, the Trump administration, would undertake to deny funds to colleges and universities. That still needs to be determined by those 12 federal agencies, those 12 federal departments, in the sense that there needs to be rules and regulations in place so that universities and colleges, Kevin, know sort of the rules of the road going forward and what actions may put college federal aid at risk.
That will certainly get their attention. Switching gears, the Conway show continues. Is this more of an inside D.C. thing than really something that people around the country should be concerned about?
Well, should you be concerned about it? I don't think so. I mean, it doesn't affect our lives in any way whatsoever. But that being said, it's certainly gotten the attention of people all across the country. It's the kind of thing that, is showing up right now on, Access Hollywood, and typically Access Hollywood doesn't follow this kind of thing, in their daily programming. But it's unusual. It's unusual for a president to go after, in the manner that President Trump has gone after Mr. Conway, Kellyanne Conway's husband. It's also unusual for the spouse of a senior aide to the president criticizing the president so publicly in the manner that Mr. Conway has been doing.
John Decker joining us. The reviews from the president's early morning interview on Fox Business Network continuing on. Anything that really struck you? I mean, everything is a hit with him. Anything that separates itself from others?
Well, there's a few things. The president, as you know, this week started off the week, I believe, during the weekend with a tweet about John McCain, and the president continued talking about him when he took a trip out to Ohio this week, and then he responded to a question about John McCain before departing on that trip to Ohio, and he was asked about that by Maria Bartiromo in her interview, and the president claimed that the reason he's talking about John McCain is because he was asked about John McCain. That's not entirely true because the president, started off this whole conversation with that tweet in which he negatively went after John McCain and, of course, then unprompted went after him again while touring that plant in Ohio during the week. So, that was certainly something that jumped out at me. And also what jumped out at me, Maria Bartiromo, she covers business for Fox News, and she is very curious, as are a lot of people. Are we closer? Is the U.S. closer to some sort of trade deal with China? And the president indicating that China very much wants to do a trade deal, but there's nothing to report just yet. The two sides remain apart in terms of reaching some sort of trade deal.
John Decker, you have a great weekend, sir. And you're in west of the Great River next week? Is that right?
No, I'm right here in Washington, D.C. In fact, next week will be a big week in the sense that the regional finals for the East will be right here in Washington, D.C. Great place to be, especially if Duke continues to win its games and if Michigan State continues to win its games. They had a tough time yesterday, by the way. Then they could face each other right here in Washington, D.C., which would be quite a matchup.
I see. Somehow I thought you were going on vacation soon. You're going to catch some tennis.
I was on vacation last week. I was in California last week, so I'm back at the White House, and not as good weather as I had out west, but all good. It's good to be back here at the White House.
John Decker, have a great weekend, sir.
You too. Have a great weekend. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. There we have it. West is best. Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio. Resolute Raj returns. Good morning. You're on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Kevin. Hey, my hat's off to you for standing against this hemp thing. I know you're taking a lot of flack from the farmers, but you know what? Shame on the farmers for being willing to let a bill like this go through. It's going to negatively impact their kids and grandkids. And, what is it? The root of all evil is money, or money is the root of all evil. So I can't believe that they're willing to look at profits over what this bill would do to this state. And I am a retired law enforcement officer. I saw what opening the door to medical marijuana did to California. It caused a lot of misery and oppression, and I don't want to see that happening here. So good for you that you're standing against the hemp, because the way the law is written now that they're looking at the legislature, it sounds to me like it's going to invite marijuana into this state, and it's bad news for a state.
What were the overall impacts when that happened, Resolute Raj? When all of a sudden the gateway was opened, did you see a significant difference?
Absolutely. Virtually overnight. Violent crime went up dramatically. And supposedly marijuana is a nonviolent drug. I beg to differ with you on that. I saw it firsthand what it does. That was with just medical marijuana. And, of course, there's always these doctors that will rubber stamp medical marijuana cards. So virtually anybody that wants it can get it. And, I'm really kind of surprised that some of your conservative callers that are for medical marijuana, I don't think they realize the door it opens to a state when you do that. Also, Kevin, I want you to know We prayed for you this morning in prayer meeting. We've been praying for you. We appreciate the fact that you are standing up for the right thing here in Idaho. Even though you're taking flack, you stand up for the right thing, and we appreciate it.
Well, Resolute Raj, thank you for your prayers. We're humbled by that, and God bless you, sir, and your prayer group.
God bless you, Kevin. Keep up the good work.
Thank you. Take care.
All right.
Bye-bye. And joining us now, the king of the hempsters, Tea Party Bob, KIDO Talk Radio.
Oh, my goodness, the hemp story, it continues on. You know, as Mayor Beer says, you need to be kind to me this morning. None of this hemp beating over the head, you know?
Be kind. Now, I think he was talking to you.
Oh, really?
Be kind, Tea Party Bob.
How about the mayor being kind to the taxpayers of Boise and stop raising taxes for the mayor's grandiose urban renewal projects? You know, Peter's played a leading role in the liberal creep that has been taking place in the Treasure Valley since he was elected. And I find that he is more of a problem than a solution to Boise's problems. You know, your caller was quite correct in his assessment of Peter's "be kind" comment as a means to demean conservatives. And don't think for a minute he was not aware of what kind of message he was trying to get across. This man is looking only at one thing, and that's toward the next election, nothing else. Thank you for having that prosecutor on again from Twin Falls. I think his dissertation on the hemp bill and the fact that we can get something done properly with the right protections is going to be important. And I do think that it's also going to help to keep the marijuana growers out of Idaho. So that was a very good perspective he put through. And I wanted to thank you for keeping the pressure on the politicians for repeal of the grocery tax. You know, even though nothing was going to be done this session, we'll just have to wait till next year when they're all up for election again, and they'll all be out there talking about the repeal again.
What do you make of that? Don't you think that's very disingenuous? Because, you know, I heard we had a record month in revenue in February. We give the teachers more money. We're giving everybody more money. We're going to fund education more. And yet the number one issue that was promised during every campaign ad, campaign statement, campaign flyer was repealing that. And you can't tell me that if they wanted that to happen, it would have happened.
Kevin, you're expecting the impossible. Politicians do not tell the truth. When have you ever heard a politician tell the truth all the time? Never happens. What do you expect from our legislature? Anything different? You know, this legislative session has been somewhat of a disappointment to many of us. You know, we're not seeing many of the bills that were introduced brought out of committee for a hearing, and that's something that has to change. You know, when you have senators like Lakey and Martin who believe they have the veto power because they can shove a bill in a drawer, the public is not served. And these politicians need to be given a hearing in the next election for themselves and have the electorate throw their butts out of office. And you're absolutely right on the Medicaid expansion, and I've been talking about this for the last few years. If this bill goes through, and believe me, the lobbyists for the insurance and medical groups are out there, and they unfortunately have a stranglehold on many of the liberal rhinos in the Republican Senate.
See, but you were the one that warned about this. You were the first one that warned about this several years ago.
Well, you know, people don't get it. They say they're going to have 78,000 people on Medicaid. Guaranteed it'll be 120 to 150. Guaranteed. If they have the work requirement, that might keep it down a little bit. And they really need to put that work requirement in. You know, when you give something away for nothing, it's valueless. It has no value to the people who are getting it. And when you take it away from them, boy, all they're going to do is cry, scream, and jump up and down. They need to put that sunset clause on this bill. Because you can bet if they don't, and feds do drop to 70% reimbursement, it's going to cost the taxpayers dearly. And we're talking hundreds of millions. We're not talking 50 million. We're talking hundreds of millions. That's not going to be a pretty picture for anyone.
They've been waiting till the last week to pass something, and you know what that means. The last week is not good for the taxpayers.
Well, again, Kevin, it goes back to who controls the politicians, those who give them the campaign contributions and keep them in office. And if the people can't realize that and change that, when they see somebody running on a conservative ticket, then that's their fault, and they're going to have to deal with it. So until we can change the electorate's understanding, we're not going to have any difference.
Well, I could go get a Chick-fil-A gift card. Would that work for him?
Well, we have a lot of chickens in there, but I'm not so sure that would help. They might think you're going to roast them.
Tea Party Bob, GemStatePatriot.com. God bless, sir.
Thanks, my friend. You have a great day.
You too. More coming up next. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Oh, I'm so happy. We're still chasing our old friend, Twin Falls Police Department Chief Kingsbury, Craig Kingsbury, and found out, these Twitter things. I found out I could actually send him a direct message, so hopefully we'll get him on with our hemp coverage coming up. Didn't even really get a chance to the Mueller report. All the libs are going crazy about it. The president making some statements. We'll talk a little bit about that. And the wrapping up of the legislature. That's Monday, but we've got a whole day to go through. Glenn Beck, Dave Ramsey, Sean, Lars Larson, and the crew coming up. So keep it right here for the best talk right here in the Treasure Valley. And Fox News on the radio. And I have to say this, that I, and like most of us, we love the spoken word, and we love radio. We had a meeting yesterday with our old friend David Ferdinand yesterday and talking about the history of radio in Idaho, beginning with this station. And, audio and the words continue to evolve. Thankfully, the people that own KIDO Talk Radio now, Town Square Media, has invested in something called an app. Now, unlike other folks, we're not going to spam you and stuff, but when there's something important, we'll send you a notification. It's totally free. And this way, you can take us anywhere you go. Sometimes we have issues with the signal, but you can get us anywhere, anytime. And you have access to the podcast, access to the blogs. So if you get a chance, Apple Podcast, Google Play, the App Store, more likely the App Store and Google Play, you'll find that. And it's wonderful. If you have the digital dashboard, you'll see the big logo, boom, and you're there. Or you can do it the old-fashioned way on 107.5 FM or 580 AM. Just another service that we're doing to try and improve our relationship with you each and every day. Traffic and weather together. Let's get you to...
I'm News Channel 7's Eric Everett.
As anti-First Amendment institutions, and that's exactly what they are, anti-First Amendment.
There we have it. The President of the United States yesterday, we were talking about this earlier with John Decker, saying there should be freedom of speech on college campuses.
Federal agencies will use their authority under various grant-making programs to ensure that public universities protect, cherish, protect the First Amendment and First Amendment rights of their students, or risk losing billions and billions of dollars of federal taxpayer dollars.
Sounds good to me. Some universities, they give you the carrot and they don't take it, so it's time for the stick. The First Amendment goes both ways, right? Conservative and liberal. Ray Amaya, great job as always. Don't go anywhere. Glenn Beck is next. God bless everybody. Keep the faith.